Hi, welcome back to Tucson Sailing. We're in the middle of fixing up this tandem boat trailer, so eventually we can hopefully go get a sailboat. Thus far we've got the suspension off, so the two axles are just sitting on blocks underneath the trailer. Today we're going to pull the front axle and set it up on top here where it's easier to work on, because we're going to replace the hubs and the brakes for a new brake assembly. The only thing keeping this on here at this point is the fact that the caliper is seized to the disc. There she goes. Well, that ain't supposed to happen. When I took that last caliper off, the brake shoe just fell off in my hand as I pulled it off. And you can see how rusted everything is in there. So, and all these seals are all shot. So, this is definitely something that needs to be replaced.
Only 3, 4. Okay, so 3.
Okay, so we've got the axle up on top of the trailer just so it's easy to work on. And this is the hub that the wheel turns on, right? See how that spins and the axle doesn't? Mm-hmm. And this one has an integral disc on it that the brake used to grab on. But we're replacing the brakes, and so we need a new one of those. So to do that, we're going to replace this whole hub assembly. This cap is covered up. This is called, I'm not sure if this is actually a bearing buddy, but some of these are called bearing buddies, and they help lubricate everything.
You know, you could just pull it off right now if you wanted to.
Nope, I still can't move it by myself. Here, Finn, do you want to hit it? You can do it, Finn. Use your right hand, though. Use your right hand, please, for my sake.
Why?
Because if you slip and hit my finger, it's going to hurt. So hold it to the back of the hammer. Back here. There you go. Good job. Okay, so you see how this doesn't turn?
Mm-hmm.
There's a cotter pin right here, and we have to pull that out before we can undo this bolt. So, someone, Max, or Finn, you want to do it? All right, Finn can do it. Finn can help. We're going to unbend this. Close your fingers, all right. We're going to unbend that. All the way down like that. We're going to grab it here.
Daddy.
And there it goes. So we can take this bolt off, this nut off. Hey Finn, stop for a second, okay? Because it's not really attached anymore.
Oh, that was a bolt?
So this is called marine grease, and it's really messy stuff.
No.
So now if we pull this, the whole thing will slide off.
How much do I weigh?
More than that.
More than 90.
So now we're just going to clean as much of this off as we can.
More than 95?
Get it nice and clean. No, you don't weigh more than 95 pounds. Okay, so now that's ready for our new bearing assembly. Ooh, be careful, those are staples.
Ugh. A letter just like Christmas morning. You have been very good. Okay, bye.
You have been very good. You got trailer parts. Thanks, Santa.
Bolts.
Bolts! That whole box just for some bolts.
No.
Vote Finn. If Finn reads the instructions, we're going to be putting on brakes for a very long time. Oh, boys, look at that. Ew, look at that grease.
Oh, come on.
Yep. All right. So the first thing we have to do is we have to mount this brake plate. This is what the brakes are going to attach to.
hope that's right.
So that's how the old ones were, and we're gonna... All right, so Finn, can you put these bolts in?
And did the old ones work?
What do we need to keep them from falling off?
Balls.
Nuts. These are the bolts. These
They're the
are
exact
nuts.
same thing.
No. The nuts are the little ones. Yep.
Ugh.
Almost tight, but not quite. Then everything will line up correctly. You can just go way back. There you go. No, all the way forward. Rah! Strong Finn. All right, again. Rah! Good job. One more.
Don't say that.
Don't say that? Okay. I'll just say it in my head.
What's a torque wrench?
The torque wrench. The torque wrench is something that lets you tighten a bolt exactly to just the right amount, so you know exactly how much you've tightened it.
Does it like say a number?
It does, yep. And you've heard foot? You know what a foot is, right?
Yes.
And you've heard pounds, right, for how heavy something is?
Yes.
A foot-pound is torque, and that's a force at a distance. Okay, I'm not really clear on how this thing goes together, but we'll give this a shot. You know what? Oh, all right. Yeah, so that just presses on. And then we can reuse the same bolt.
Can I touch the grease?
No. Okay. You can touch it with one finger, just one finger, and then wipe it off with this. Because if you get that grease on your clothes, it's never, ever coming off. Okay, so we're gonna reuse the same castle nut here. Because the kit did not include one.
Is the one that
Don't have to get this totally clean, I just want to get most of the grease off of it.
Used, okay to use again?
This nut is, the cotter pin we really shouldn't, so I'm probably gonna have to go get a new cotter pin. I made a small mistake here in that I forgot to put the washer on before the castle nut. I also ended up taking this hub assembly on and off a couple times trying to figure out a problem that I'll talk about later. But in the process, the kids got bored and went off and started playing a game of hide and seek with the neighborhood.
Have you seen
Nope,
Max and Lily?
I haven't seen anybody. I had a little bit of problem on the first side because the brake didn't seem to seat. The new hub didn't seem to seat as far back as the old hub had. I'm a little nervous about it, so I did some research, and it doesn't seem like there are that many options for bearing sizes on these hubs. So I don't think I have the wrong size bearing in there, and there were no options when I bought the brakes for what size bearing it had.
I see you! Hey! Little Twinkle Dad!
I'm not gonna help you cheat.
I'm kinda...
Hide and seek is hide and seek, dude.
Hide and seek.
So, looking at this new picture, is the shiny part that I can see in the first picture
It's part of that. It's part of the. Oh,
diamond?
yeah, it's the biggest diameter.
Okay, so the grease seal and the bearing are pushing against that lower edge.
It doesn't really look like they actually ride on that lip, though.
Alright, so looking at the shaft, start with the threads on the right end, on the outside end.
Yep.
And you have a small shoulder, and then it tapers up.
Yep.
And then there's a flat section just before a shoulder.
Yeah.
Is that flat section just before the shoulder the 1 3/8?
Yeah, but I don't think anything actually rides on that.
What's the diameter of your bearing?
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe that bearing does ride on the flat instead of the
I think it does. I think that shoulder is what holds the grease bearing, the grease seal in.
When I put the new hubs on, there was a little bit of the spindle showing that was clean and obviously had been covered up by the previous hubs. And I was really concerned that they weren't seating deep enough and weren't seating properly. And that was partly based on an assumption, a wrong assumption on my part, that the bearing ran on this largest diameter on the spindle. In reality, that's just for the oil seal, the grease seal, and the bearing actually runs on the step down just prior to that, after the taper of the spindle. So in the end, I decided that the dust caps on the new hubs are just a little bit narrower than the dust caps on the old hubs, and that they're seated just fine. So these axles, if you're looking at what I think you're looking at, these axles actually have integrated Zerk fittings. The tip of the axle has a grease port built into the axle itself.
Interesting. Okay.
And so you can hook up a grease gun to that, and it'll inject grease back near, I don't know if it's in front of or behind of the back bearing, the inner bearing.
If you inject grease, it's going to come out of that black spot.
I think so.
What?
I also don't have the picture up. My phone's off, so I'm actively installing the hassle nut. We're gonna go a little bit not as tight as last time, and then back off for the instructions. I'm going to totally forget where the hole for there it is. I think that's where the grease comes out when you put grease in the front of the bearing, front of the spindle.
But that would be behind the whole assembly, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I'd have to look. Quite possibly. You know, I watched a video of this, and the guy literally just like tapped the thing on.
You what?
He just tapped it on, and it slid right on.
Yeah.
Here at Tucson Sailing, we don't edit out the messy parts. No! Man, you get that thing just the littlest bit crooked.
Yeah, it doesn't work crooked. You could put a board over the end of it and smack it.
Yeah, I've tried that. That's never coming off. Boy,
You smack it hard enough.
at this point, this almost looks like I know what I'm doing. Alright, let me put the brakes on and get this thing back under the trailer.
Okay, good.
Thanks for your help.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye. Alright, so now that we've got the hub assembly on, we can go ahead and put the brakes on. Now the brakes come with all sorts of warnings that these screws have to have Loctite on them, but I don't have any Loctite on me right now. So we're going to install this for now, and then we'll go back through later, pull them, add Loctite, and put them back on. You just have to remember to do that. So these just slide over here like that.
Can this part come in different colors?
Probably, but that wasn't an option when I ordered it. It probably has something to do with the brand of the company that made the brakes. Probably, maybe all their brakes are yellow. I don't know. You could probably write them a letter and ask how they made that decision. All right. So now that we've got the brake rotor on, temporarily because we didn't have any Loctite, I'm a little concerned that the line where the brake line comes in is right here, and the U-bolts that are going to attach these to the springs are going to be right here. So that's a little close. We won't really be able to tell how close it is until we actually hook everything up, though. So we'll see. So now let's do the other side.
Has it been 30 minutes since I've been outside?
Probably.
Well, like, when Louie came over?
I don't know why.
Just words now. What happens if you tighten it? Like, close that right now.
Yeah, see? That's what they do. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've bent it. Dang it. That's not good.
Couldn't you just buy a new one?
Well, let's see if we can get it in first. By far, the most annoying and difficult part of this process was getting that stupid dust cap on. Alright, so aside from a little tweaking with the torque wrench, those are good to go. So that is the hub replacement and brake caliper replacement on the trailer axle.